So just go over the agenda a little bit today. You'll have to forgive me, I'm going to have to keep looking at my notes. We normally do a tag team thing, but seeing as I'm on my own, it's going to be just me today. So I've written some notes. So I'm going to have a quick 10-minute update, and I'm going to go through a few things that I want to revisit from last time and a couple of new things that I've got to inform you of. And then I'm going to hand over to Sam Forbes. So Sam Forbes works in our Student Futures team as a project officer. Thank you, Sam. And she's going to give us an update on careers at Teesside, but also thinking about careers and how that works during a pandemic as well. She's going to have a little chat about that. And then we'll move on to a quick overview of the UCAS Youth Seminar that was held the other day. I don't know if any of you attended, but if not, we've got some quite interesting updates from that I thought I'd share with you. And then, as usual, for the last 15 minutes, you can either get away if you've had enough of my voice, because it is just me today, you might have, or we can have a nice chat with each other, see if anyone's got any questions, or if anyone has anything they want to pick up while you've got other careers advisors in the room, feel free to do that. So I will kick off with my updates. We have a few outstanding actions that I just wanted to acknowledge, and I'm aware that these have been going on for a little while. So the thing that I'm going to raise particularly is the questions around the BTEC Applied Science, specifically for entry to the BSc Optometry course. I'm aware that we've been chasing this query up for a few weeks now. The situation that we're at the minute is that we're waiting for the curriculum, the BTEC Applied Science curriculum, to be reviewed by the Associate Dean of the School of Health. So that's going to happen, and we'll hopefully get you an answer sometime soon. Steph, I know you and Tina have been waiting for an answer for this quite a while. So we're actively working on that, and that is with the AD at the minute. Hopefully we will get an answer soon. I have said that this is the last knowledge network of the academic year, but as we discussed at last knowledge network, I think it'll be really worthwhile us hosting a clearing knowledge network, so that we can all get together if anybody has any questions or anything Teesside specific that they want to find out about for clearing. We can do that there. I had suggested a date of the 4th of August, 2 till 3, so Tuesday afternoon. Let me know if that doesn't work for you, or if you've got anything on, and we can. It's quite flexible. I picked the date out of the air, I'm going to be honest, as long as it was before clearing. So if you do have any thoughts on that, you want to change it, feel free to drop me a line. But we thought that'd be a nice opportunity to give you the most up-to-date list of course availability and clearing and things like that. So that's the plan, and I will send details out for that. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our next virtual undergraduate open day. So we had our first virtual open day a couple of weeks ago, and it ran really well. It was really successful, and generally the feedback that we've received from attendees was so positive. They enjoyed the experience, they found it really valuable. They also appreciated how quick they were getting answers as well. So in a similar way that you would on an on-campus open day, we gave them the opportunity to speak to academics through the online chat service, which is really important for them to get those sort of in-depth questions answered. So we gave them that opportunity, and we're going to re-host. I'm making up words. We're going to host another virtual open day. That's going to be on the 23rd of July. So I will send an email out with that for you to share it with your students before the end of tomorrow, so you can get that out to them, which would be great. So if they do have any questions, they're very welcome to come along and ask. And even if they have already applied, if they're an applicant and they still have questions to ask, this is a great opportunity for them to speak to those academic tutors. So send them that across. I will reiterate as well my offer that I made at Knowledge Network last week, because I know there's potentially a number of Year 13 students that don't know what they're doing yet, haven't applied, may have different plans than university, but I know a few students are sort of coming around to the idea of having university as a bit of a backup plan, maybe, if what they're planning for September onwards doesn't go ahead. So at the last Knowledge Network, I did offer to host some one-to-one sessions with students. So very similarly to what we would offer at a careers fair or a HE fair that you guys would host on your campus, I'm really happy to do some one-to-ones with students and just talk about their opportunities, what's available at Teesside at the moment, specifically for those Year 13s that maybe don't have a plan. I know this time of year I would have been in to see a few of you, and I would have been having these sessions in person, so just letting you know that they are available. They'll just be virtual. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, or you do have any students that you'd want to let them know that that's available, that'd be great. The next thing I'm going to jump on, and this was something that Clive mentioned at the last Knowledge Network, so it's a shame he's not here, but again I will share it. Clive was talking about the lack of subject-specific support material. So for example, he did mention that people were being inundated with personal statement videos and how to do the generic stuff, but he said what was really lacking was subject specific. So for example, writing a health personal statement, preparing a student for a health interview were a couple of examples he gave. And what we've actually managed to pull together is a presentation by Scott Godfrey, who's our principal lecturer in the School of Health and Life Sciences. And this is a really good overview for those specifically health students on the application process, the personal statement, writing, the interview techniques that we might like to see, and also how the interview selection works. So at the moment we use gathered fields. So we select a group of students straight away who perform really well at interview will be made an offer, but then what we do is we use gathered fields where some students that were good but not quite that caliber that we want will actually hold back until later on in the year. So within Scott's presentation he talks about that, which might be a really good way to manage students' expectations and what they know it might come when it comes to applying to a health course. So I'll make sure that I share that out with the follow-up notes as well. I wanted to chat to you about a potential CPD opportunity that I was made aware of yesterday. And give me a second while I pull this up on my screen because I don't know it off the top of my head. So we have a Digital Skills for Growth project, and this is something that I was actually only made aware of yesterday, otherwise I would have shared it earlier. But it's basically a project for teachers and school staff in primary, secondary and FE to upskill and take part in sessions, with the idea being to then pass on to students. So although this might be more subject staff specific, there may be things that are interested to you guys, and certainly I'll share it with you to send out to your colleagues. I think it'd be really useful. So the project, they're basically short accredited courses, normally around 6 weeks, and there are some running over the summer, but then their next main enrolment cycle starts in October, so there's a little bit of time if you're looking. If it's something you're interested in, you don't have to start right now. The criteria for these courses is that you are employed in an educational institution and that you belong to one of the following postcodes in the areas of Darlington, Durham, Hartlepool, Middlesbrough, Redcar or Stockton-on-Tees. Obviously, I will send up the follow-up information on this because it's quite in-depth. The courses are free. And they are available specifically at the moment in game design, programming and animation. So there's a coding using Python, we've got a digital marketing session and a business intelligence session. So I'll share the details of these, but if you are looking to maybe upskill, it's worth a look, and I think they do sound like really interesting sessions. The other thing is it doesn't have to just be teaching staff, so anybody that is employed in a school or college can take part in these. So you might have some staff teaching assistants or admin staff. I'm going to share it out and honestly just share it with whoever you feel it might be appropriate for, because it's definitely worth a look that there's some free CPD opportunities. So I will share that with you as well. I don't realise how much we talk when I'm doing it all on my own. I'm sorry that you have to listen to just my voice for this amount of time. A couple more things, then I am going to hand over to Sam. So just to let you know again about our Speak to a Student project that went live last week. So Speak to a Student runs on our website, and it gives any applicant, potential student, tutor, the opportunity to speak to one of our current students. That runs currently Monday 10 till 2, Friday 10 till 2 and Wednesday 2 till 6. Depending on the popularity of this, we're definitely going to look to increase those hours, but gives students an opportunity to speak to somebody sort of peer-to-peer rather than hearing from a member of academic staff or the recruitment team. They get to speak to a student who has been through the process quite recently. So if they have a question about any specific course, details, or accommodation, what it's like moving away from home, that's the platform that we're going to really push specifically through clearing to help with any queries that students might have, and just to help them support them from that peer-to-peer point of view. I think is really important. You'll be happy to hear that there are my updates. If you have any questions, I didn't mention this at the beginning, I probably should. With there not being many of us, you can just unmute your mic and shout at me. Or if you want to, you can just pop it in the chat bar as well, and I'll keep an eye out for that. I might be a little bit slower responding than normal as I'm on my own, but I will keep an eye out for them. So they are my updates. I'm going to hand over to Sam now. Like I say, Sam works in the Student Futures team, and she's going to give us an update on careers at Teesside. So I will hand over to you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you very much. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Forbes and I am Student Futures Project Officer in our Student Futures team. So I will just share my screen, bear with me 1 minute. Oops. And can you all see that screen? Thank you very much. Okay, so a little bit of an update of what Student Futures activities, what we're doing in COVID-19. And I'm going to take you through those. And we'll leave questions till the end, if that's okay. So just a little bit of an agenda, background, Student Futures, who we are and what we do currently. The impact of COVID-19 on graduates and that challenging graduate market. How we've adapted in Student Future, a couple of things that we've put in place immediately, and then obviously that is evolving as COVID and the pandemic emerges out of, and some case studies as well, some positives of all of this, and then some final thoughts at the end. So Student Future is what we do. From year one and foundation stages, we do career planning. So look with students with that career path and support and research and planning, what they need to do within their time at university to kind of get to the career and stage they want to. Some of them come in with some students come in with not an idea, but then a lot of students do come in with a really good idea of what they want to do. But we help them with that career planning stages. Entrepreneurial skills, obviously we have Launchpad, which you may already know about. We kind of thrive those entrepreneurial skills that students have. If they do have any startup ideas and set up, we help them set up that business. That can be at university, but obviously once they graduate as well. We have a lot of sector specific information, so job sites, industry news, events, whether that be online now, but obviously on campus we used to do a lot of events within that as well. We do think it's important that students do keep up to date with the sector specific information that they have within their sector that they want to go into, whether that be starting to build up those professional networks or just conversational pieces that they can start with people. So sector specific news is really a big one for me. Experience, obviously it's not enough just to have a degree anymore. It is about that work experience, those internships, that volunteering experiences, and we've got a whole host of staff that support students with those and gaining that experience while they're at university. I think I touched on this earlier, so networking, building up that professional network. People do business with people, and I'm a firm believer of that. So it's about thriving those networking opportunities that students have, whether that be within LinkedIn or through our alumni as well. So we look at those networking skills as well as building up their professional networks. We also help students market themselves professionally with their skills and experiences. So building up the skills and experiences they're kind of lacking when they come to us in year one, and building up those throughout their time at university. And supporting them with marketing themselves. It's not an easy thing to talk about yourself and to big yourself up, but with hopefully with Student Futures experience and support, they'll be able to do that by the time they graduate. And obviously jobs prep as well. Preparing, searching, researching applications, interview skills, all things that they've hopefully done a little bit of when they've come into university. All personal statements and things like that are preparing them for these skills, but just perfecting them during their time at university so they feel much more at ease when they are going for job interviews. So the impact of COVID. There's multiple dimensions of impact with COVID that we don't yet know of how it's going to affect us. But what we do know is it's a massively challenging graduate market that our graduates for 2020 are going into. We have noticed obviously a massive reduced in hiring and a recruitment freeze for this. And many graduates have had either their job offers cancelled or maybe their start dates delayed as well. So there's just lots of news and learning things that we're learning as well throughout this. Transport and comms are probably two of the worst affected sectors that we've noticed. And there's been a massive reduction on grad schemes and grad placements as well. Obviously, the challenging landscape of the local labour market has been massively impacted, and we're working with our local links to find out what those are going to be. COVID is massively transforming people's relationship to work. How we work and what we're going to be doing, is that remotely anymore? People are massively working differently. And do we need to work in offices anymore? So are these going to be new skills that we're going to need to teach our students while they're at university about remote working software, Teams, Zoom, that kind of thing? We have noticed just a massive shift towards working from home, and not specific set hours, more flexible hours within the working day. You've probably already seen that Twitter announces that they'll be allowed to work from home forever within their employees, and Facebook are starting to plan for more remote working. I think in particular in America, it's gone from 1 in 50 people were working from home to 1 in 3, and that's just current now. So it's just, however this is going to be evolving, it's just about adapting in this environment as well. And that's what we want to teach our students, that adaptability within these environments. Working from home does have its issues that probably you're all very, very aware of as well. Poor Wi-Fi connections, some interference that we've noticed earlier. Working from home environment, it's not specific, it's not ideal. Obviously the mental health issues that come with that as well. And will that productivity maintain longer term? That's a big question that some of the big companies are looking at. But as I've said before, the longer term implications are unknown at this stage. We just need to, like I said, look at and adapt as this is evolving. So just a couple of things that we've adapted within Student Futures, the workings that we do to support our students. I will go through more detail in these, but these are just a couple of the things that we've kind of picked up and moved forward with quite quickly. So internships, whether they be a virtual or a hybrid model, online workshops and webinars, online mentoring, the business links that we've been maintaining and supporting our graduates and students as well. So the first one. Immediately we were due to do some summer internships with our students. We took those virtual. So we've had 36 virtual internships that started in July this year. They've started to be really successful. And what I've kind of emphasised with these 36 students, that they're having some really good remote working experience that not a lot of graduates will have had. So when they're going into that jobs market immediately after these 8 weeks, they will have that experience of Microsoft Teams, conference calls. You'll see on the right hand side of that screen there, we did some conference call bingo, those stereotypical phrases that you'll probably hear, probably me say, and numerous other people that you have calls with. But just again, a bit light fun, but getting them used to this kind of environment and getting them confident in this environment as well. And yeah, so what we will also be doing in the autumn, we'll be doing more of a hybrid model, virtual and in company, and there'll be about 76 currently. We've got businesses lined up to do those internships with those. So again, great experience for our students, and not all negative as well. Some students are really still keen to take on those internships and give our students that valuable experience that they really do need. As well as these internships, the University of Teesside developed an in-house project management module, and that was our strategic change and transformation team developed an online module for our students to run alongside their internships. One of the emphases that I made with our students that are starting these internships is keep on training. It is a brilliant opportunity to work from home, but it's a really important thing to keep your training and keep your skills up to date. So that's one of the things that we are doing with our students as well. We took all our online workshops and webinars online. So we used to do a lot of CV development, specifically for different sectors. We did assessment centre workshops, but we've taken all of those online. So all of that provision that we did, we now do online. So job search, CVs, and we do a lot of virtual interviews and a lot of virtual assessment centres to kind of map us with the market, the jobs market as well. We're doing industry and sector events, and they will provisionally be online at the moment to see what's going to be happening with the pandemic. We do all our one-to-one appointments delivered through Microsoft Teams like this, and there's a lot of wellbeing support that is being included in those sessions, as well as the employability, which is obviously what Student Futures, what we aim to do, but it's about supporting our students in this environment. It's all very new, and and it can be quite isolating as well. So it's about supporting our students and their well-being in this period. We've got an online careers fair planned for October. So do keep an eye out for that, and let your students know when they do start in September that they're very welcome to come along and attend that. And again, start to network and build up their professional networks. We're also still able to reach our international students that return to their home countries. And again, I think that's really important to keep that university link with them, so they feel like the university is supporting them. We will be moving more to a hybrid kind of in-person remote delivery from September, as with all the rest of the teaching that the Teesside University is doing. And that's how we'll be moving. It depends on the need of the students, whether it needs to be an in-person or remote delivery. Okay, so online mentoring is one of the other things that we've been doing. So we are building up a database of alumni and business professionals, to inspire and raise aspirations for our students, and potentially students that want to come to Teesside. Those will include a profile of what that person did, how they got into that industry, things they would tell themselves if they were just starting out now. So hopefully that will inspire and raise some aspirations for our students as well. We do some one-to-one bespoke virtual matching for our mentoring as well. So we marry people up generally with to do with kind of industry and that kind of thing, so they can support them through that. We do a lot of peer-to-peer support, especially within the internships. Again, there's a lot of things that students will ask each other, but not necessarily ask us as within Student Futures. So all kind of bases are covered as for us. We do small group mentoring with our internships with a business mentor looking after that subgroup. We do realise, though, what has kind of come out of this. It's really difficult to build relationships online. We all have business professional networks already established, but it's quite difficult to build a relationship with somebody online. So that's just kind of one of the things that we've seen coming out of this. Business links, obviously we're connecting with companies to kind of meet their recruitment needs as they emerge out of lockdown. But ensuring graduates know where the jobs are as well, especially in the Tees Valley, kind of the 99% of the companies are SMEs, so it's knowing where those jobs are. Looking at funding opportunities, there could be 100% for limited periods for companies needing to graduate skills to recover from the pandemic. So there will be a lot of funding opportunities. It's making sure our business links know all about those. And working with the groups to establish, undertake a lot of LMI, so local market information research, to adapt and develop to the careers resources that we have to give to our students as well. I think what the main thing is Teesside University and Student Futures, I can only speak for us, but encouraging our students to be really kind to themselves and look after their kind of mind and their mental health and their body as well, kind of sitting at a desk and making them think about taking regular breaks and how much they're sitting as well. But obviously their mental health, referring them to the NH website for any advice they need on there. But we do realise that graduates' resilience is low at the moment, and the prospect of such a difficult and challenging graduate market is kind of knocking them a little bit. So we're offering some mind sessions through our Teesside University portal to again support them through this. And obviously that lifetime offer of graduate support within Student Futures is always there. So once you're an alumni of Teesside University, you've always got Student Futures to help you with your career choices. So just a couple of case studies. I mean, there's quite a lot of positives, and I may seem of being a little bit negative at the beginning, but there is lots of really positive stories coming out of this. And there are just a couple of them that I've pulled out. So especially the science kind of pharmaceuticals areas, I think are massively recruiting at the moment. So specifically Absolutely Antibody was looking for some science graduates quite urgently to adapt, and they resulted in taking actually 6 of our graduates on immediately at the beginning of lockdown. Lloyds Bank are doing some internships. They were originally supposed to be in London, but they've actually adjusted it all to be online, so those internships are still going ahead, and 2 of our students are going along to that. creative assembly, it's really difficult to get animation roles in the workplace anyway, but they approached one of our animation students, having seen his portfolio online, and he's actually working from them now on a remote basis permanently. And there's some startup businesses. There's just one example of one of our students, Georgie McGregor, that started a breakfast delivery company, and it's actually been featured in The Guardian as well, which is really positive for her and great PR for her. So just some final thoughts from me. Obviously, COVID-19 is changing the environment in which we work, live and educate. And the new normal is obviously still evolving. I keep hearing that word, but we must continue to monitor and adapt to that landscape, however it's going to be. And just to point out that there's so many examples of how positive people have been in this environment. Although it's been a really difficult environment for a lot of people, there's some positive things that have come out of it. But most of all, obviously ensuring we support our students and graduates and they feel really supported in this potentially quite isolating environment through whatever channels we need to do that. And support and maintain the local companies in whatever new ways they're going to be, but a lot of different things are emerging with this. So that is it. This is my email address. If you do want to ask me any questions, I will hang on for a little while and I'll come off this screen. But that's my email address if you do want to take that down and ask me any questions that you think of afterwards. There is a really good on The Economist, there's loads of trends and things like that if you do want a little bit more information. But I will share this presentation with Jade at the end, so she will circulate it to you as well. So I'll just end sharing my screen. And I'll come back on. Okay.
Thank you so much, Sam. Yeah, like I say, we will attach the presentation to the follow-up minutes that come from the meeting today. We'll definitely do that. Did anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to jump in while we've got Sam here? Nope. If you do think of anything, like I say, either share it with me or you can get in touch with Sam directly. I'll share those contact details on the minutes that we send out. Thank you so much, Sam. That was really interesting.
Problem. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And like I said, good luck with everything and have a nice restful summer if you do have one. Thank you.
Thanks. See you. So what I'll do now is I'm going to move over. Oh, Carol, sorry, we just missed your question. So there are careers advisors within Student Futures now. Oh, Sam's still here. Sam,
I'm still here. I'm gone. I was just ghosting.
Carol's just asked. It's all right, Carol. It's fine. You type in. You'll have to do it really fast. Carol's asked, are the advisors within Student Futures now? Is that where you sit?
Yes. So I sit within Student Futures. I'm not an advisor myself. I'm more on the periphery, but we do have, there's hundreds of appointments a week that our students can access. Obviously, we're priority now as our graduates from 2020, but looking at our graduates for 2019 as well that still haven't secured employment. So we do, but obviously any students from year 1, 2 and 3 that want to speak to an advisor specifically and look at that, we can do.
I think there's something to probably point out, Carl. I've seen your hand and we'll move on to you now. But having the Student Futures building and having the Student Futures team, it's almost like a massive hub, isn't it? Where all of these resources are in one place for the students to access. So it's a fantastic thing to have. Even though we haven't been able to spend that much time in the building, the team's still there, which is great. Carl, you've got a question.
Yeah, is that unmuted there, Jade? Because my screen froze.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, it was for Sam. So, is there any kind of online content or resources what potential students could use? Just I was thinking, obviously, Carol mentioned at the last Knowledge Network that we've seen our UCAS applications go up, and I'm guessing that's probably a lot of students who were looking for either employment or apprenticeships are thinking, well, that's probably not going to be an option now.
So we're doing I think I've kind of picked up a little bit of that. So we're doing a lot of LMI research at the moment. So there's a lot of local labour market information research at the moment, and that's kind of adapted a lot since COVID-19, if I'm honest. And that will all be publicly on our website. The appointments and the online sessions are predominantly for our graduates, lifetime graduates, and our current students. So all of those resources are more not publicly out there, but the other things like the LMI and all that kind of things and job prospects and all that kind of thing will be on our website soon. We're just refining that and perfecting that at the moment.
Right, thanks, Sam.
remember to unmute myself there. I don't think I've got someone else. Oh, Carol said it's nice to see you, Sam.
Thank you.
I think if nobody else has a question, what I'm going to move on to sort of relates to what Carl's just been talking about, really, and how this applicant mindset and the potential student mindset's maybe changed a little bit. So forgive me that I am reading from a screen again, but we, and by we, Kate attended the youth seminar from UCAS the other day. So it was an applicant's view, and it was an update from 17 to 19-year-olds, but who were surveyed from the 27th of June to the 6th of July. So quite recent in terms of their feelings and opinions and how they are approaching this weird time of applying through a pandemic, I suppose. So there was a few bits, and it's quite lengthy and quite number based. So what I'm going to do is just pick out a few sort of highlights, I think, that are most important. But as an overview, and this very much backs up what Carl said about students being aware that there might not be the apprenticeships and the jobs there available that there would be in other years. So UCAS have actually seen a record number of 18-year-olds applying to university for 2020 entry. So it's 40.5% of all UK 18-year-olds have actually applied to a university this year, which is a huge increase. Specifically, we've seen increases in nursing. I'm going to throw out there that I imagine that has a lot to do with, the NHS key worker thing. People have maybe got a whole new appreciation of the NHS and being a nurse in this type of environment. But we've got a 15% increase in applications to nursing this year on previous years, which is huge. And then also increases in maths, computer science, mass comms and architecture as well. So quite a variety of subject areas there, really, but all seeing an increase in applications. What I will point out as well, that we do have EU languages, well, all languages actually, languages, history, linguistics and classics have all continued to see a reduction in applications, and that's something that year on year we have seen that reduction in applications. Deferment is another massive topic that I think we've spoken about every knowledge network probably since lockdown. So we did see a lot of students showing a lot of interest in deferring their studies for a year, given that they weren't sure that what they were going to get in terms of teaching. Was it going to be online? Was it going to be on campus? What we were going to get? So the most popular reason for students choosing to defer was a desire to travel before attending university, which is not actually something that we'd taken into consideration or thought that might affect the outcome. So students are saying that they do have a desire to do some travelling, so take that gap year before coming to study at higher education. They're also looking to avoid online learning. So that's the second reason, which I was quite surprised at, actually. I thought that would be up there with the first reason, not the travelling. But they are saying that avoiding online learning was something that was the second highest reason that they would choose to defer, along with them wanting to earn money before they start university. And thirdly came that they were hoping to get work experience, and they either had or were dealing with issues with mental health, came joint third in terms of reasons for deferring. So quite a mixed bag, really, of reasons. I think it maybe just wasn't as simple as I'm going to be honest, I was thinking they don't want to study online, so they're going to defer for a year. But it does seem that although there is a lot of awareness of the pandemic, that's maybe not the contributing factor. In terms of, like I said, these are quite in depth, so I'll share them further. In terms of clearing, we've seen that students are much more open to clearing this year than they have been in previous years. So 35% of students that were asked were actually anticipating using clearing, with 22% of those planning to use it to see if they can get onto a better course. So it's definitely the situation where students are getting almost smarter about clearing, and they're going to use the option of upgrading onto a better course if it's available for them. And again, UCAS did mention that they think that this is probably linked to the fact that they've sort of lost control over their grades. It's not been down to their performance in an exam to dictate what grades they get. So they're hoping that clearing is going to give the student much more opportunity to take charge and make decisions. And I'm going to have a look and see what else we've got sort of key. So there was a few summary points as well that we've taken from it. So I was surprised by this number. So 51% of students surveyed are less confident about going to university. and how it's affecting the decision-making process. So I think something that we have taken from this, and something we've been very conscious at Teesside University, specifically with our applicants, is providing the support and the guidance that they maybe feel they haven't had, given that they've missed out on being at college for the last couple of months, and hopefully trying to make it as smooth a transition, make them feel as confident, trying to put things in place like applicant Facebook groups and giving them opportunities to speak to each other and meet each other before we get to campus is something that we're really conscious of, and trying to make people feel as welcome as possible. 65% of students that have applied are fully committed to their choices, which is really good to hear. And it does sound like there's that sort of maybe a third of students are looking to use clearing, but the other 2/3 are quite happy and content with what they've done. And there's 49% of students, so almost half the students, are wanting more information. So they're still wanting to know more about what the learning and teaching platform is going to look like. So that's really important. I think that universities are keeping in contact with students and letting them know what come September, what coming to university is going to look like. So I've picked out some highlights there. But it does go into a bit more detail. What I'll do is I'll send these round, and there is the link to watch the session as well. So it was delivered by UCAS. So if you want to, if you have a spare hour before you all break up for the summer tomorrow, you might want to watch that presentation. But yeah, full of a lot of interesting information. I find it interesting. Hopefully you guys do as well. Just gives you an idea of what the 18-year-old student is thinking about and what's important to them, because there's a few things there that I think I was quite surprised at. So that's that, and I will share that out as well. And I'm kept on time, which is an absolute miracle, so I'm definitely blaming Kate from now on for us running over. What I'm going to do now is open it out to the group. Does anybody have anything they want to ask? Does anybody have any questions relating to anything that we've spoken about today? I have a few questions I would like to ask, and they are actually for Bob, who hasn't come. So Bob from Ripon Grammar School did email me the other day asking about online events. So Bob's looking, and the college are looking to host a virtual event in the new academic year, and he's been asking about platforms that other schools and colleges have been using. So I thought this might have been a good opportunity for people to either shout out and let us know, or if you have any ideas, if you could drop me an email, that would be really handy. Cal?
Can you hear me again, Jade? Can't see
I
me.
can.
Yeah. So this is just a question about that when you mentioned about the applicant numbers. The last I heard, like off the it was like a government release thing in early June, capping how many students universities could take on. I think it was like the predicted growth plus 5% to stop like a vacuuming of students. Has that had any impact on kind of your applicants to how many you're accepting? Because I'm just thinking, obviously, offering impartial advice to my students. When it comes to clearing, would we advise that they kind of broaden the options, even though they want to stay local, but kind of like not just look at one place or another place or whatnot? So I just want to know if that's affected you in any way.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I can speak from Teesside's point of view, and what I would say is that I think it's unlikely that cap would affect us, particularly maybe in comparison to some other universities. I think the cap was probably more put in place for the likes of the Russell groups and that type of university, to make sure that, given the deficit that there's going to be with international students, they didn't make it up their numbers by dipping into the pool of students from areas, for example, where Teesside might be their first choice. So I can definitely say I can't say for definite, but I wouldn't envisage our numbers being massively restricted given the cap. What I would say is that generally, as most of you know, most of our courses do go into clearing, so we do still have availability on courses at this time of year, barring the select few health courses, which would always be dictated by placement spaces anyway. So I think it would be very unlikely that we would be affected. What I would say is, if you do have, year 13s who haven't made a decision, to get into it's the usual thing, get in touch as soon as possible, because we'd hate for them to miss out on a slot. But at the moment, I think we have 4 courses that haven't gone into clearing, so in terms of spaces on a lot of our courses, they're still available, and I can't see the cap restricting us too much in terms of our placements.
Well, thanks, Jade.
All right, let me just see if we've got anyone else. Carol. See, we normally have 2 people doing this, and it's much easier. From a prior workshop, the students who have offers with Teesside for 2021, Marie's going to look into it. These are students. Have you not had a response, Carol, from that? What I'll do is I'll pop that on my notes and I'll chase it up. So Carol's just mentioned that we had some students that had been offered a placement on a health course for 2021, hadn't they, Carol? And they were hoping to study the Cert HE in September 2020, if I remember that rightly. What I'll do is I will chase that up, Carol, with Marie and see what's happening. I'm sure I've seen an email to see if they've been contacted, but oh yeah, I'll chase that up. See, I've got a good memory for some things. Yeah, so I think that was okay. Does anybody have any other questions? How are we all looking forward to the summer? Is everyone happy to be off? Do we have Carl? Are you off term time? Are you taking the summer off, or will you still be in work?
No, I'm full time, so I'll just be around.
Carol does as well. See, this is the thing. I work through the summer. I don't know why I presume that everybody else doesn't. But when I send my updates out, I have seen that a lot of my contacts have gone on holiday and they've started their summer. Carol's put a sad face. I'll be here as well, Carol. And I think that's something that we would want to reiterate. Obviously, if we'll have our clearing knowledge network, but just to make you aware that the recruitment team are available. They are here through the summer. Specifically, like I say, if you'd like to take us up on that one-to-one student advice offer, I think that might be really good if you've been speaking to any year 13s who are really clueless. And it doesn't just have to be those students who want to go to university. It might be students who don't quite know what they want to do. And we can definitely help as best we can. I think in the environment that we're in, it's definitely not a bad idea to apply to a university as a backup. Just so they've got a plan in September, because as we've mentioned, I do think the likelihood for securing apprenticeships and employment might be less than it has been in previous years. So yes, Carol, if you want to just drop me an email, get in touch and we can look to arrange some of those. So it would be the same thing as replicating a session where I'd come in and speak to your year 13, so I can talk about the options that are available to them, what's available through clearing if they're looking to apply, and what they would need to do. Obviously, if they've just started applying, the process would be a little bit different. Speaking of clearing, we should be looking to launch our hotline next week. Fingers crossed, all going well. So we will be contactable by phone, and I'll keep emailing you whether you're at work or not. I'll just keep dropping you emails and keeping you up to date with what's going on. I don't have anything else to add. I don't know if anybody else has any questions or anything you want to speak to each other about. Give you a little bit of an opportunity to talk to each other, but feel free to. Do you think application and entry is going to be harder for 2021? I don't know is the overall answer. It is hard to say, but what I would say is there's probably a few factors that would be affecting entry next year. So if we do see a larger amount of students deferring their place to next year, that'll definitely reduce the number of places that are available to students. And again, I am talking probably more specifically about those health-based courses, so anything where they're required to take on a placement at the same time. We're very much restricted on numbers. So what I would say is that if we do see a higher level of deferring students, then places may be affected next year. On health courses specifically, I can't imagine it having a huge effect on other courses. Like I said, the cap's been put in place for this year, but again, I'm not entirely sure how much that would be affecting us. I may be wrong, and this is all just speculation from my point, but I imagine next year should be, I'm not going to say okay because I have no idea what next year is going to be like, but yeah, based on the percentage of students that defer, I think that will have an effect on next year. But other than that, I think we should be okay. Yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. Does anybody else have any questions? Just have a quick check of the chat. I think we're looking okay. Like I say, I will send an invite out for the Clearing Knowledge Network in August. Once we are over and done with the summer, we'll look to start these back up in September. I don't know how the fortnightly thing works for you all, but again, we're always open to feedback on how it works, how frequent, how long you'd like them. So please do drop me an email if you have any thoughts, if there's anything in particular that you would be interested in hearing as well. I know we've had quite a collection of people. So we've had Sam, we've had Academics giving updates on courses. I think specifically the education update at the last Knowledge Network was really interesting, given the opportunities that are available and the developments that are happening within our education team. Sound really interesting. But anything that you'd like to see, please do drop me a line. We have had people from Student Finance and UCAS come and deliver updates as well. So if there's anything you feel like you may not getting enough of, or you'd like to just see more of, drop us a line and we'll arrange that. Other than that, and I know we are all still working through, but I know the students will have left officially this week. So hopefully we all managed to get a bit of downtime and caught up on emails and things. And everybody enjoys a summer. Hopefully if we get the sun back out at some point. Again, we're here to be contacted. I'll be at my computer throughout the summer. So if at any point you do have any questions or you want me to chase things up, I know recently, given the absence of telephones and not being able to ring the admissions team, I've been doing some chasing up for some people. If you've got any students who've had any particular problems, I'm quite happy to do that as well. So if you need me to pick up anything with the admissions team, just drop me an email and get in touch. But other than that, that is me done, and I'm going to stop rambling on. Hope you did enjoy it. Thank you for taking part and coming consistently as well. It's really nice. We'll hope from September to almost get a little bit more of a regular group together, and we can really start exploring different areas that you'd like to look into a little bit further. But yeah, if everybody's happy, I think we're about done. Is everyone all right? Thank you so much for coming, guys, and I'll be in touch with emails of lots of things. Thank you.